Alright all, and welcome back to a new video, and as promised, if I saw the demand I was going to give, and there was a fair few comments, thank goodness, in the last video, the weekend preview, asking for day-by-day content for Galway and hopefully maybe a bit for Goodwood as well this week. So starting off with day one at Galway tomorrow. Monday evening, flat racing. Wouldn't particularly be me, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. It's great to have Galway on it all this year. I must say it's been a long old day for me. The weekend's punting was poor. I'd hold my hands up to that. I'm not somebody that kind of bluffs through, you know, when they lose. You know, it wasn't a good weekend from a punting perspective, but that's what can happen. Today I had a fairly long day in the dirt from a cricket perspective with a tough enough game. And obviously, Villa managed to stay up. Some of you may know I am a big Villa fan. So I've got the Villa polo on, I've got a beer in hand, and we'll get through Galway day one. An 8-race card, tricky enough racing, as I would say. There's a few races here I'd be keeping at very low stakes. If you are going to go in on my selections, I know some of you might, some of you don't. I've no issue either way. But hopefully you'll enjoy this preview nonetheless. Starting off with the 410, it's a 7 furlong Colts and Geldings maiden. A few pretty well-fancied horses in here, the likes of Wembley for Aidan O'Brien, Lust for Gerlines and Colin Keane. But the one I'm going to be siding with is Trusted Ally for Mick O'Callaghan. I followed a few of his horses in today with not much success, but usually his 2-year-olds run very well. He knows how to win with these sort of 2-year-olds. He's 9-2, this horse. He ran at Limerick to start off his career and finished a very good third to Giorgio Vasari and Alex D, beating a nose and a neck. So the form from that race on paper is good. That was over 6.5 furlongs at Limerick. This is over 7 furlongs at Galway, so he will have to, you know, show that he's, you know, the step up in trip, because it's 7 furlongs and a stiffer finish at Galway. You know, you're not quite sure whether he is going to get it. If you look through his, you know, breeding, he should get it. He's by a new sire, a first season sire, Territories, who won the Prix Jean Prat over in France, and out of a Soleimani families, and obviously Soleimani has sired many good jumps horses. So there is stamina in the pedigree. 7 furlongs should be okay, and you know, I think 9-2 is not a bad price here. These Mick O'Callaghan horses usually get a little bit overpriced than maybe what they should be, and I'm going to be taking a chance on him in the opener. The 440 is the 7 furlong handicap for horses rated 50 to 80 for 3-year-olds. One of these races that I don't have much of a say on, to be honest. So it's going to be a small each-way play on an Andy Oliver horse in this called Inside Intel, who's 16-1 best price, an Intello filly. She ran a nice debut behind Fancy Blue at the back end of last year at Naas when finishing 8th. Obviously, Fancy Blue has gone on to win a French Classic this year, so you know that was a good standard maiden. And then finished 3rd behind Rocca Roma, who's obviously quite highly regarded by the Gerlines team at Gorm Park. Then ran a bit of a stinker at Cork, and that's the one run that you're kind of there going, I'm not so sure about that. She's gotten a mark of 72. I think that's fair off her first 2 runs. It's probably not overly fair on her run at Cork. Her run at Cork wasn't good at all, but Lee Roach takes the ride today, hopefully, or you know, tomorrow, but today maybe when you're watching it, depending on when you are. This filly should be able to win handicaps in time. I'm not sure whether, you know, this handicap will be the one, but I think she will be able to win in time. Also, these 7 furlong handicaps are quite often decided by the draw. She's drawn stall 6, which should be around ideal, I must confess. So hopefully she'll have a bit of a bash from there and maybe, you know, collect a bit of each way cash. The 515 is a 7 furlong 50 to 80 rated handicap, Division 1 of 2. And I'm going to take a complete flyer on this on a horse called Rattling Jewel for Martin Hassett and Wayne Lorden. 25-1 best price from an each way perspective. A pretty exposed 8-year-old gelding at this stage by royal applause. He's been a good servant to connections. Again, another horse coming out of stall 6, which isn't too bad for these 7 furlong races. The thing I find interesting about this horse is he won off a mark of 65 in Listowel last year over 7 furlongs. And previous to that, his previous win was over 7 furlongs as well. He hasn't run at that trip since then. He's run over 6 furlongs and he's run over a mile while he was going up in the way, like obviously he took a bit of a hike for that win at Listowel. And he's back to a mark of 65 tomorrow at Galway, and it is his first run back at 7 furlongs. I don't know whether that's an angle that I'm maybe overthinking, but it's just an interesting one, I must confess. Certainly last time out running over an extended mile, he's never once shown that he's ever going to get an extended mile. So that was an interesting run. I think he's been dropped a pound since then and hopefully might have a chance. But the likes of Lightning Amber, Aced It, both have big chances. You know, it's a very open race, but it's just a small each way play. The 545 is Division 2 of the 7 furlong handicap, and another 25 to 1 chance in this. So if one of these comes in, we'll be absolutely laughing. This one I'd be a bit more confident in, actually. A horse called War Hero for Ado McGuinness and Ronan Whelan. I'll be very surprised if there isn't an inch of money for this horse tomorrow. Out of stall 5, a 5-year-old gelding by declaration of war. Started this year out off a mark of 83 and has run 4 pretty poor races since the resumption of racing and is now back to a mark of 73. So he's been dropped £10. But over the winter, he won off a mark of 79 at Dundalk and also finished second to Sceptical over 6 furlongs when sent off favoured off a mark of 83, only beaten 2 lengths. But the one that really comes into my mind is that last year he ran in 2 7 furlong handicaps at the Galway Festival and finished 4th, a close 4th and 2nd, both times to Make a Challenge. And now Make a Challenge, obviously a Group 1 horse. Or certainly a Group 2, Group 3 horse. Nowadays, he was obviously off basement marks back then for Dennis Hogan. It's very interesting to see that, and it's one of those, I'm not sure, you know, if you have a horse that, you know, obviously likes it around Galway, you'd obviously try and get him down to a workable mark, and a mark of 73 is well within remit based off his prior performances. He is coming here with 4 duck eggs to his name, which is obviously a concern and one that you have to take with, you know, a pinch of salt, really, backing a horse with 4 duck eggs. But I think 25 to 1 is a massive price, and I'd be a bit disappointed actually if there isn't a bit of money for him. The 6.15 is a mile 4 handicap horse rated 50 to 80. I'm going to take a chance here on Penny Out for John Kiley and Trevor Whelan. 15 to 2 best price here. This 6-year-old mare running out of stall 12, which is not ideal, but not quite as key over a mile 4 than it is over 7 furlongs. This mare won a handicap hurdle at Limerick by 10 lengths off a mark of 108. So if you want to do your flat and you know, jumps comparisons, she might have a bit of leeway off this mark. Last time out, she was 3rd to Mandarin Monarch when getting a funny type of ride in a funny type of race, but stayed on really well over 2 mile 1. So, you know, this is going to be a sharp trip. She obviously is going to stay. She'll be staying going at the back end of this race, and hopefully the stiff finish at Galway can bring that mostly into effect. With a fan of a horse like Penny Out, she's usually a hold-up filly. You're looking in this race to see a bit of pace on, and hopefully there's a bit of a pace burn-up, and she might be able to swoop late. 15 to 2, not a bad each-way play. The 6.45 is a 2 mile, 1 furlong handicap for amateur riders, 70 to 100 rated horses. And a horse that I wasn't sure whether he's going to get into the Galway hurdle or not is A Wave of the Sea. I was going to run in this, and I'm going to back it at 14 to 1. Obviously a horse I really, really liked last year in juvenile hurdles and ran very well. Won a Grade 1 juvenile hurdle at Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival before finishing mid-division in the Triumph. He could be very well treated here off a mark 82, to be honest. He was a progressive flat horse at the back end of last year as a 3-year-old. And, you know, it's interesting to see that he returns here in a flat race rather than a hurdle race. He was 4th at Galway last year over a mile and a half. He obviously needs a bit further at this stage. He comes fit, having ran a tepid enough run behind Aramon. Was that a Tipperary, I think, in the Grimes hurdle. Didn't feature that day, but at least race fitness on his side. He's in the box seat of stall 1. Tom Hamilton on board. I think a lot going for A Wave of the Sea at 14 to 1. 7:15 is a mile 4 furlong handicap for Australia 60 to 90 for 3-year-olds. And my nap of the day comes in the shape of Elizabethofaragon, who's 2-1 best price. So she's going to be my nap of the day, this daughter of Galileo. 3 no-shows in strong enough maidens, to be fair, before winning off her mark of 64 on handicap debut at Leopardstown by 6 lengths. That was obviously a bit of a mockery. Was raised £15 for that effort and won by a neck 3 days ago in the Ulster Oaks up at Down Royal off a mark of 79. Has been raised £5 to a mark of 84, but that's been negated by Killian Hennessy's £7 claim. So she's actually running in effect £2 well in from that run at Down Royal. She needs this trip. She needed all of the mile 2 furlongs at Down Royal to get there. Back up to a mile 4 should suit, and this looks a really rapidly progressive filly. And unless the only thing that could go against her, obviously, is being turned out so quickly. But other than that, I think she's a rock solid 5. And the last race of the day, the 7:45, a mile 4 furlong maiden. And I'm going to give a chance here to Ciel D'Afrique. Best price 15-4 for Dermot Weld and Jamie Codd taking the ride today. This horse has had 2 runs in maidens when finishing 4th to Newman before finishing 2nd at Ferryhouse last time out over a mile 4. So obviously gets the trip quite well. Hung a bit under pressure, which was a bit disappointing to see last time out, but obviously, if anyone's going to be able to guide this type of horse home, it will be Jamie Codd. I know Dermot Weld's been quiet enough the last few Galways, but he's had a bit of a better start to the season this year, and hopefully it mightn't be a bad week for Dermot Weld, and hopefully this horse can go in the Moy Glare colours. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below, and obviously give us your picks for day 1 of the Galway Festival. If you have a really strong fancy at any type of price, do let me know in the comments down below and I'll try to get back to you. Until tomorrow night, where we'll be back for day 2 and also maybe a few of the races through at Goodwood. Hope you stay safe, stay well, and a few bets. And cheers from me for now. Goodbye.